So in the fall of 2010, I heard a story about youth-on-youth homicide, that particularly, I guess, resonated with me in such a way that I felt motivated to try to do something, that this is my home now. And this is very distressing when you hear about two lives essentially being destroyed, the life of the victim and the perpetrator as well, just ruined, from a senseless act, and having lost a family member in the early 90s to similar kind of a random act of violence, it struck me in such a way, that I felt like I wanted to do something about it, however I could. And thought about doing a mural as a way of communicating a message in an enduring way, probably something that could reach a wider audience than just, say, talking to a group of 10, 15, 30, or 50 kids, but actually having something that would stand, as a lasting kind of message, an enduring message, to the youth that if they believe in something, then they can achieve a life better than they know at present. I mean, if you think about it, belief in something is what drives any action, right? Whether you want to be a policeman, an attorney, a doctor, fireman, or whatever, at some point you have to believe that that's possible, and then you take steps to achieve it. I mean, it's something that everyone does. It's probably one of the most common things that we do, but we don't really think about it. You just do it. You have an idea to do something, and you just take steps to do it. Everyone knows what the problem is. You don't have to, draw the problem on a wall, to address it. But instead, what I wanted to do is to offer an alternative to at least direct the attention towards something positive. And the word believe became the central element, to the creation of this mural. With that in mind, I thought about people who could bring that idea to life. Pepsi Kedavong is a well-respected local artist who is establishing himself on the national scale, and he was someone who was an early champion of this project.
The reason why I supported this project, first of all, I was really impressed by Ian Wilson and his team and his story, what he's trying to do. I think the concept ties in to what my own personal belief, that is creating a work that primarily engages the conversation, but the ultimate engagement, the outcome of it's always been an influence to trigger that individual or personal empowerment. And I think that belief is a strong approach to that.
He made some key introductions to Dan McDonald, who was the attorney for Han Automotive, and he was the initial person who spoke to about getting permission to use the wall at the Troop Street Park. I've been following the art of several artists from South Africa, and through a good friend of mine, Peta, who's a graffiti artist who is based in Venice, I was introduced to some of the South African artists, actually one in particular, Faith 47, who had worked with him on a project in Vancouver, British Columbia in 2010. And so With that in mind, knowing that there was a connection there, I had asked him to introduce me to her, and so that's how I kind of was led, to seek the artist's, talents. I've been following the work of Faith 47 for a couple of years now, and I know that she has a means of communicating social justice messages in visually compelling ways, and I wanted to bring that visual energy and power, to this community.
I think it's great that some people are taking initiative to use street art as a way to bridge gaps in the community and talk about issues and just beautify the urban environment. So yeah, we were quite excited to get involved in that and see what was happening.
It was Faith 47 that introduced me to the rest of the South African artists who participated in this project. She was kind of the node in a network, of artists. So I couldn't see myself just incorporating the work of one, or two, but actually ended up inviting 4 artists from Cape Town to come in and share their talents with this community. So Faith paints with her partner and husband, Dao, who hails from China. He is a very talented young artist who brings a very unique aesthetic to the project. Incorporating a lot of his culture in his art, I think, was a hugely beneficial component to this project. Mac One is a very talented, very unique individual. He hails from the Cape Flats, which is, I guess, not too dissimilar from some parts of the U.S. in terms of poverty and crime. But through his talent, he was able to bring himself out of that. And so his personal story is one that was very kind of endearing, to me, in that he's someone that came from a very challenging environment and is now establishing himself as an artist on the world stage. He paints, from the heart, and I think that's just how he relates to people in general, and it definitely comes out in his work. So we're very fortunate to have Mac One participate in this project in the way he did. Ricky Lee Gordon is an artist who also goes by the name of Freddie Sam. He's a very enthusiastic, energetic young artist who organizes a ton of community events in Cape Town. He organizes an artist residency, he organizes workshops through his 2 organizations, A Word of Art and Right on Africa. He does more, I think, in terms of community involvement in the arts than I think a lot of people, who are his age. He's doing so much and he's not even 30 yet. He paints very striking profiles. They're very powerful, very kind of compelling, very stark profiles, which I guess lend a certain gravity, to the project. So when I had the idea for this mural project, one of the things that I absolutely wanted to make sure that I incorporated was, the assistance of local artists. So the FUA crew is Rochester's oldest graffiti crew, and so inviting artists to come from the other side of the world to paint in Rochester, I couldn't see doing that and not having the FUA crew involved in some way. As FUA is Rochester's oldest crew, I wanted to have them represent the local scene in a project which is taking place in their home. So the FUA crew's involvement in the project was pretty crucial. Snow is one of the FUA crew members who personally kind of got me back, painting in the fall of 2010 after, something about like 14 or so year hiatus, that I was on. So I definitely want to have Snow and FUA involved because I know that they bring a local aesthetic sensibility, to the project. So the Troop Street Park mural essentially became a weekend. I mean, it took about 2 days for the mural to be created. It was a family event. There were kids, there were food, there was music. That was one of those kind of pleasant surprises, of something like this. The music was great. The food was awesome. The vibe was just good. I mean, it was just a great weekend. I mean, it felt like one of those weekends, back in the days, like in, the 80s, when life was simple, It definitely felt like that kind of a weekend. It would be too bad if, a city like this, which has so much potential as far as mural art goes, um, loses the momentum that I think has been started, with this project. There's a tremendous opportunity for Rochester to become a destination city, for this kind of art.
It's a really simple strategy. Just start like you did. Do 3 murals, and then the next year do 6 murals, and the next year do 20 murals. Every artist in the world will jump at the opportunity to come over and do this project. The landscape lends itself to that. There's walls everywhere, and And the space needs color, it needs inspiration, needs energy. Color creates energy, energy creates inspiration, inspiration creates change.
Because it's not only for the individuals involved, it's for the people, the observers of seeing what's happening. They also start realizing like there's other things happening around, and like maybe they can get involved in certain ways as well, like the community around here. When I speak to them, they can tell them, oh, I'm back home, doing things. And they also get experiences as well through what you're doing, everyone else is doing.
The other, I guess, secondary benefit of this project was to introduce the community to the Synthesis Collaborative. And given that so much of what we were doing, which is providing basic medical imaging in the developing world, using teleradiology and cloud computing, so much of that effort will be directed elsewhere, that we felt it was imperative for us to do something for home, to do something for the city that we have a fondness for.
I think the art must belong to people who live in the community. It's not only on the gallery or museum. In that kind of space, not so many people can see the art. But bring the art to the community and bring to the public place, how more people can see the art, to enjoy the art, and I think that's important.
Just use your imagination. Our imagination is our identity. Therefore, you got to promote that, and the way to promote that is with public art. This is a community that supports art, but unless you told me they did, I wouldn't have seen it.
There is a place for thematic, inspired mural art in a city like ours. Rochester is already doing so many world-class things. This is just something else, that can be done, to further establish itself as a world-class city. I mean, it's a great place. Let's share it with the world.
Get a good feeling, yeah. Get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.